Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Fishbeck Learning Exchange. I'm Chris Freeland. Today, we're traveling to the vibrant heart of the Motor City with Leonard Harwell, Vice President and Senior Business Development Leader. Leonard will share his insights on why Detroit is the place to be for young engineering and design professionals that are looking to make their mark. And from projects at the iconic Henry Ford Hospital to transformative streetscapes in downtown Detroit, we'll uncover a bit more of what Fishbeck has going on in the city of resurgence and discuss how our presence there can be a catalyst for growth and innovation. We've lots to discuss. Leonard, welcome to the exchange. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in that introduction, but I feel like I have to at least acknowledge that you have come in with a jersey and I am wearing a tie. I feel like I should have a jersey. We'll work that out later, maybe.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Honolulu blue, though, I love, or Detroit blue, whatever we call it now. So there's a lot to unpack, and especially when we're talking about a topic that's so obviously near and dear to your heart. And that really came through when we were preparing for this conversation. I think you're going to agree with this statement. Detroit is a great place to be and to work. Can you share with us your personal journey as a young civil engineer working for the city of Detroit, and maybe how working there shaped your view that Detroit is a great place, especially for young design professionals to sort of cut their teeth?
Yeah. Well, and I'm dating myself now, so no judgments. There's no judgment.
No
zone,
worries.
Right? No judgment zone. No, but I'm talking late 90s, early 90s. Started my career off as a draftsman, and working in the suburbs, in which it was cool. It was all new information, being in civil engineering, but it was something about being downtown that was a draw for me because it puts you. It was the energy. Even then, there was an energy with being down in a big city. It's things you don't get in the suburbs that you get downtown, and that was a draw for me.
Yeah,
it was people. It was the mix of people, the mix of projects. It's different being downtown, and I had to be down there.
I was reading some articles on Detroit because obviously it's been a big story for years now how it's kind of pulled itself back up.
Mm-hmm.
I use the term city of resurgence. I've heard Renaissance as a term used a lot, and in this article I actually wrote down some quotes, and I thought this was good, so I'm just going to read this to you, have you react to it. Describing Detroit: tough, real, and cheap. I think that means land.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, with the nation's longest municipal bankruptcy behind it, is suddenly attractive to investors, innovators, and would-be fixers, especially young adventurers. Why the young part? What is it about young folks that makes Detroit so intriguing?
Well, first I want to agree with everything you just said there.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
the opportunities and the recent events we had last week with the NFL draft. I've known for a long time that the resurgence was here, and I even call it a phoenix because we were once in a place where we were getting beat up pretty good.
Yeah.
But being down here and actually seeing it and walking, it's like, okay, guys, it's not that. It's way better than that. But it is what it is. But I had a young individual with me last week. She works services at our Detroit office, and she's a 26-year-old female, and she's moved into the area and is still in the suburbs. And I was trying to, being a Detroiter, I was trying to give her the highlights and show her, there's so much you can get here that you can't get anywhere else. We're not in New York yet. We're not in Chicago, and that's great. We're Detroit.
Yeah.
And there's so many opportunities. And my advice to her, I think you should jump on board now because we've just made national news. And those that didn't know now that there's opportunities to be had, and it's not Detroit of the old.
I'm a fan of comeback stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Rocky.
Absolutely.
And Detroit is like the ultimate comeback story.
Yeah.
Right. arsenal of democracy during World War II, all of that. So there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Right.
I've always used that underdog mentality to my benefit.
Yeah.
And just like you hear people say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it in Chicago. If you can make it in Detroit, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always used that, that unsuspecting energy to prove, no, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Now, you mentioned the draft. You're wearing the jersey, so I feel like we have to do this. Dan, I know we have some photos that we had taken down during the draft. Just kind of showing the energy around the buildings. So I think in some of those photos, you'll see the tall, that's Woodward Place, I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our offices are. You can see the people milling about in the jerseys and what was the name of that sculpture?
Spirit of Detroit.
Spirit of Detroit.
Yep.
And behind them, you've got the Ren Center and all of that. Just shows like we are in the heart
We have an amazing location.
of the city.
I mean, it was almost by design. We were right in the middle of the central location of the draft. I mean, out of our windows, you can see the setup. You can see the river. I mean, I think we've got. I mean, I'm biased, but I think we've got the best office in Fishbeck. But it's a great place, and you're right there.
We don't necessarily want to start like an office war. Like who has
I'm
I'm
just
just
saying.
teasing. You have a strong case. We've seen the photos.
Who else has a better view? I'm just saying.
All right, so there's Detroit. There's some unique challenges, I think, that a city like that presents engineering firms or design firms. Can you share some insight into what makes working in Detroit a distinctive compared to, say, Rochester Hills or something like that? And then how does it help do professionals like us, do we have a chance to kind of participate in that transformation? Is that part of the draw?
Well, I think the very word you use, the challenge, I mean, that's why we engineers, right? I mean, we like challenges. We like solving problems. The being in Detroit, the differences in Detroit and any suburb, you're dealing with older infrastructures. There's challenges that goes along to, okay, how do we overcome this issue? Detroit is over 300 years old. There's things that are worn. There's things that have to be replaced, but you have to do it now in the midst of everything that's been built up around it.
Yeah.
These are challenges you don't get anywhere else. I mean, a lot of our suburbs are newer per se. So, they don't have the same demands. They don't have the same challenges. And you're not going to get that level of experience because of these challenges. There's a level of experience that goes along with it when you go through the process to figure out how to solve them.
When we were preparing for this conversation, you mentioned that you were, this young civil engineer, and you'd have contracts or work in places like Rochester Hills, Madison Heights. But you get done with those, and you'd basically be running to Detroit to get involved.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the experience of in the suburbs of working in the early Clinton Township years and working on subdivisions, working on, retail plazas. And it's great. It's good stuff. I mean, and I don't knock any of those experiences. They're great experiences. But once again, it's something different about being out in a farmland turned into a housing subdivision versus being in a fully grown, mature landscape and navigating the opportunities, not challenges, but opportunities that comes along with working through the development.
A whole different type of opportunity.
It's different.
Right. And so it is a great place to be, a great place to work. And we're there. We have a good presence there. Not only our office, which you all saw, but we're working on significant projects. You mentioned when we were talking earlier about, there's an iconic hospital there, Henry Ford Hospital, and I think we're in construction I may have that wrong. Don't want to be.
No, you're right.
We're
in the construction document
construction
stage.
documents there. Yep. Erica Randolph, I think, maybe working civil there.
Yep.
What can you tell us about that kind of project or what's going on there? I wasn't aware of it until we spoke.
Well, the excitement around that, once again, the challenges. This is a 100-year-old hospital. the infrastructure around it. I mean, just think about this. This hospital was built 104 years ago, and it's still being utilized today.
Wow.
We're replacing this hospital with a brand new one right across West Grand Boulevard with another hospital that we're designing to be another 100 years. We're on the cusp of something that not many can lay claims to. We're going to be building the next legacy hospital.
Yeah.
The infrastructure around this hospital, when we talk about challenges of an urban area, a lot of our sewers are still wooden and old, but the sewer that feeds this area is 100 years old also. So these are the challenges that you don't get elsewhere.
Right.
How do you solve this problem? How do you overcome this? How do you put a tunnel there? How do you put a bridge over it? It's the challenges that comes along with a once in a lifetime project.
It's really contributing to the fabric of the city, like you're saying, the story. I know also, I believe I think it's Katarina Kolar. Kolar, and she's working or has worked on the Streetscape project down there.
Yeah, she's done a lot of work down there. And once again, we're in an urban area. We're in urban streets. We partner with a lot of firms to do a lot of work that we do. Katarina has been on the forefront for some years now, and helping shape. We're in a position where we're helping to shape what this new resurgence in the Phoenix or Renaissance looks like.
This makes me think of we want to help people realize their visions while benefiting society, and that seems like the opportunities in Detroit. You're helping not just the city, but other entities there, industrial partners or partnerships that we have in Detroit. And I don't want to focus too much on the other partnerships like Southeast Michigan, because I know you were adamant like Detroit is its own animal.
Yes.
We do have good partnerships down there too that are influencing that area, but we're working with all those folks, and it's an exciting time because we're helping them to realize their visions not only for themselves, but how that contributes to a stronger Detroit, a new Detroit, maybe, and that's gratifying professionally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned Detroit and my standing firm on where Detroit is not Southeast Michigan. And let me clarify that. I think the opportunity for Fishbeck and the challenge, we're known Southeast Michigan. There's no doubt about it. We've done a lot of great work. We continue to do a lot of great work in and around the city. But in Detroit, it's different. We're looking to capitalize, especially in what we're trying to do with our 10-year vision. There's opportunities right in our backyard that we can capitalize on. That is, for us, is still untapped to a degree. So, we've done a lot of great work, but there's so much more to be done, and we're very capable enough to do it.
We're right there downtown.
Yeah.
It has to include Detroit, right? There's a lot of opportunity there, and I'm sure we're working hard to do that.
We got an email just yesterday from our Brownfield group, Roman and those guys, and Stedge. We just was awarded a contract to work with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation to do some brownfield and remediation work, which is a plus. I've been working with those guys. Say, guys, we need to get down here, and it's happening. So small. I mean, as small as that may seem, it's a big for Fishbeck, and it's that foot in the door. One of my mantras or a stool that I was stepping on when we wanted to Henry Ford. Let's use this as motivation. This is a huge project. It's a motivating. There's a lot of energy along with this project. Let's use it and ride the wave, while we have it, because once again, it's once in a lifetime. So, so to win those type of projects, those steady things, foundational projects to build our name and brand, not just in Southeast Michigan, but downtown Detroit, to me is huge.
Are there any preconceived notions about Detroit working there, getting to it, maybe traffic, things like that work against us trying to get work there for us, or no?
To get work, or no? I think with any city, there's challenges because it's congested, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But it's not, once again, it's not in New York. It's not Chicago. And I think that's the beauty in what we have. You've got a big city feel. Of course, anything that you're not used to is going to be intimidating. But once you realize, once you realize that it's not what you thought it was, it's easy.
And then when you can navigate it really well, it's a badge of honor that you can drive, right? You can drive in it.
That helps.
Yeah.
It helps.
Okay, so looking ahead a little bit, what do you see? What do you see is the Fishbeck's future in Detroit? Our presence there, and how do you see us contributing to like the continued development there? I know I think I mentioned the Detroit Regional Partnership, which again is more Southeast Michigan, but there's still Detroit there. DWSD, GLEWA, all of those different entities. Can you speak a little bit to that?
The beauty about those projects you just mentioned, and especially the DRP, DRP is the Detroit Regional Partners. They represent 14 different counties in this region, but they're literally our neighbors in a Detroit office. They're like 3 doors down from us.
Oh.
The beauty of that is, and what I'm touting with Detroit, just because we're in Detroit doesn't mean it has to be Detroit work, because none of the Detroit Regional Partner projects that we have are in Detroit.
Okay.
We're working out of Detroit and it's headed in Detroit for the region. So it really taps into everything that we're doing here in Southeast Michigan and midway to the west. It still affects everything that we're doing from downtown Detroit. Great project. And that project is one of those projects that I know is going to be paying benefits to us for years to come in Detroit, but for Fishbeck globally. Same thing with GLEWA, Great Lakes Water Authority. That began in 2016 as a spinoff from the Detroit Water and Sewer Department. GLEWA handles all of the transmission lines and transmission sewage and water lines that normally DWSD would handle, but that's all regional. And we've been partnered with major firms to do a lot of that work. It's not the pretty work.
Right.
It's nobody recognizes the sewers and the waters, but we've got to have it. We utilize it every day. So these projects are transformational projects. They're important projects. The key to what we're doing in all these projects, we're the boots on the ground in the city of Detroit, and we're trying to build upon that. So, partnering with national firms for the big work works right up our alley. So if you ask me, I think part of your question was, how does Fishbeck grow and how do we capitalize on this? I think these collaborative projects is the way we have to do it. We're not quite ready to make that strong stance in priming a lot, but these smaller projects are going to build to that.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do.
Collaboration is, I think, often
it's what we do.
Structure
Yeah.
that you have to build on for success. Lastly, for young engineering professionals that are looking to maybe work in Detroit, or they're considering it, or what have you, do you have any advice that you'd offer them when they're maybe they're on the fence, they're not sure if Detroit work is what they're looking for? What would you say to them?
It's the experience you're going to gain. It's the experience. It's the energy, it's the fun, it's the collaboration, it's the exposure to many different other cultures, ideologies. It's all that forms us adults now. That's what made us who we are, is because all of the exposure and opportunities that we gained and how we leveraged them to be sitting where we're sitting right now. You got to have it to be well-rounded. That well-rounded individual is a much more valuable individual. So think about it as you're sowing into your future. You're going to be that much more valuable down the line by this exposure you're going to get today.
I mentioned that I had read an article or 2 or 3, whatever, about Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another quote that you reacted to the first one so well. I just want to throw this one at you. I think you'll like it, and it might be a good sum up to capture kind of that's something about Detroit, right?
Go for it.
Here it is. Okay. The heart is so present here. This is the place to be. There's tremendous need, and tremendous opportunity in land, in structures, and in spirits. A lot of opportunity to transform.
It's great.
You agree with it?
I think we're done. That's it.
Done. Next time, though, I want a jersey.
All right. Well, I know people.
Okay.
We make that
I
happen.
feel like you could make it happen.
We make that happen.
Great. Well, listen, thank you. That's all the time we have for today for this episode. Leonard, it's been really interesting.
Thank you
I've really
for having
enjoyed
me.
this. Yes, sir. And I've been alongside Leonard Harwell. And until next time, see you then.